Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of False Starts with your host Bill Blank and Chris Shipley. As always, broadcasting from the new AKC Andrew Downs Marketing Studio and sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company. I see we're wearing our resident Iowa and Iowa State gear tonight there.
This is true.
Billy.
Well, I mean, I rarely have something, I really don't have something that eludes. There's
Correct.
Usually a tiger hawk somewhere.
Correct.
Like my sunglasses have a little fucking tiger hawk. So like I can't help it. It's this hat though, I went to the baseball game, one of the baseball games at down at Principal Park. They played the Iowa baseball team. I know that you know nothing about baseball at Iowa State, but
Wow.
the Iowa baseball team played a series down at the end of the season down at downtown. So I went to one of those games, and I walked in the gift shop, and they had a whole bunch of these, and I just think it's a fucking dope as fuck hat. So I bought it.
It is kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna.
And then you know what else?
I know enough about Iowa baseball that their bullpen sucked, and that's why they didn't go.
Yeah, there was in the gift shop they have these really cool demon, like the Des Moines Demons hats or whatever.
Yeah,
like that they did for Latino Heritage Week.
Sure.
And you can only get them there. And so I'm hoping my son buys me one for Father's Day, because it's a pretty dope hat. But anyway, so how are things? Everything's been good lately?
Everything's been really good. I think I've said this before. When you get a job that you really enjoy or whatever else, I think that kind of makes things fall into place. I don't come home, I'm not grouchy or whatever. Things are a little more easier down the pike. I have my appointment with Dr. Kipling next week. I'm going to keep that.
That's your therapist?
Yep. I'm excited to go talk to him and just catch up and get back on a regular schedule, because you're never cured, right? You're never like, okay, I'm good, doc. I don't need any more help.
Yeah. It's like being an alcoholic. Like,
yep.
You got to keep going to meetings or whatever,
Yep.
Yeah, I actually I had therapy a couple weeks ago, and it was, I don't know. It's just funny because, like I told you before, my therapist is on the God Squad, so she's always trying to convince me to look for Jesus.
Between you, me, and Travis Justice in the last episode,
I feel like it's like fucking. You know the scene in a League of Their Own when Madonna comes out of confession. Madonna's in confession. And Rosie O'Donnell's like, that's the third time he's dropped that Bible since she's been in there or whatever. That's what therapy feels like to me. I feel like my fucking therapist. It's just like, I feel like she has to go home and wash her clothes and confess, like tell her husband all of the things that I said that she
like
opened
that. What's that movie with the woman that like works in a nuclear plant? She's got to like spray herself down every time she comes out.
Yeah, 100%. That's what it's like a fucking COVID. We do it over like telehealth. We do it just like this. And she still has to wash herself when she gets home.
Nice. Most of you guys are easier on the eyes when I listen on iHeart. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt.
We'll download it later then, because it'll get better. In fact, our guest tonight is, I always say, one of the cutest comics that I know. I fucking love. I just love the way he looks when he's on stage. I've always said that he looks like a giant cute baby. And I don't mean that. I don't mean that in like
we're so great.
Like I don't mean that in the like I'm a fat baby thing. Like I don't mean it like that. There's something very like mischievous about Ian's like look. There's something about him, like when he smiles, there's just this like, I don't want to say like, yeah, he's up to something. Not like that. I just don't know how else to explain it other than like he's just having a good time. He's just this giant baby having a great time. And I will tell one story. There's, when you're in comedy, as long as I have been, over the course of a lot of years, there's always comics that say like, hey, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to call so-and-so. I'm going to get you in this place. And 90% of the time, it's just really a good compliment. Like, you got to learn how to take it like that.
Sure.
Most of the time, it's not going to happen. Most of the time, they don't end up making that call. And of course, you're not going to hound them to make that call.
Right.
And so there's only been a few people that have actually ever gone out of their way to help me, give me an opportunity, something. And I just, it wasn't this past season. I think it was 2, maybe even 3 seasons ago now. I got a phone call from America's Got Talent, from a talent agent at America's Got Talent, asking me if I wanted to audition for that season.
Yeah.
And I didn't answer the phone. I let it go voicemail because it was a call from Beverly Hills. And I should have known, like, nobody's going to call me from Beverly Hills, not even a creditor. They're not. Nobody in Beverly Hills is a fucking
That's Olaf, Kansas. There's
no telemarketers in Beverly Hills.
Right.
But anyway, she left the message and she goes, I got your name from Ian Bagg, who spoke very highly of you. And so, of course, kisses to his beanbag forever at this point. Like, obviously, I auditioned, I did send in, and I didn't get in. I didn't even, like, go anywhere. And then I saw the season, and, like, Josh Blue was on there and the Sklar brothers. So I think maybe they were looking for somebody with a little more of a following already.
Maybe. Yeah.
But anyway, so I want to bring on our next guest without getting too long-winded. One of my absolute favorites. And if not the best crowd work comic in the country.
Wow.
Definitely in the top 5. I mean, Willie's my dude.
Yep.
And I grew up with Willie, and I've always said Willie's the best. And this is like, this dude, they are 1 and 1A. I don't care what order it is. I'm telling you, like, it's the best. You see people try to do it and they can't. So let's welcome to False Starts Ian Bagg.
I'm a giant baby.
The giant baby.
Ian, I just want you to know that might be the longest wind up for a guest we've had in history. So kudos to you. You've broken a record already.
That's the longest wind up for a disappointment in the history.
Oh, not necessarily. You can ask my wife.
Oh, that's funny. This is gonna be great. Get ready for it. And nothing.
Ian's one of those guys that when you hang out, when you hang out with a certain friend for a long period of time, you start acting like them. Like
a baby.
Yeah, Ian's one of those guys. Like you spend a week with him at a club, and you're talking like him. And that's why I never watch comics hardly, because I'm afraid I'll do that on stage. Like next thing, I'll be up there like, "What's the best part of a blowjob, lady?" Bing, ding, ding, boom, boom.
Because I'm a baby. Yeah, you know what? I'm with you, man. I think the guys that we like, they're really good, that we enjoy. We start to we get influenced by them a little bit. You know?
Oh yeah.
How can you not? If you're giggling, it just makes you laugh, and next thing you know, you're talking like them, right?
Just because of their personality, like not even on stage. Yeah, just like Johnny Bush is one of those guys too. If there's too much time, I start, because when he gets all sing-songy, like I start doing the sing-songy Johnny Bush shit.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you, man.
Like you know, Johnny B.
You come away sounding like a little bit of a funny Pearl Jam.
So, how are things? You know,
good, man.
Everything's going well.
Yeah, busy, man. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. Things are good. Yeah, I'm happy.
Like a baby.
Like a baby with a bottle. I got a fresh diaper on, and I'm just wandering around with my titties out.
See, I mean, am I wrong though? Look how cute he is.
Look.
Agreed.
So, did you? I remember you telling me stories about. There's a place when you first got to New York. There was a place where you were paying by the day to stay, like
I was staying in youth hostel,
a huge hostel.
Yeah, it was. So I get to New York. How it is. Some guy says, "Hey, if you're ever in New York, I'll put you on stage," and I take that as I'm supposed to go to New York. So I take my $800 Canadian, turn it into $700 American, and get on a train to New York and get off the train. I'm like, oh, I don't know anybody in New York. I wonder where I'm going to stay. And like a movie, this thing's on the ground. I see it, and it just says youth hostel, $14 a day. So I pick it up and I call, and I go stay at a youth hostel for $14 a day. And I call that guy Lucian Hold.
Oh God, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and he remembers me, and he says, "Yeah, I'll put you on stage." So I went down and bombed my ass off, but he put me on for a month straight, and I figured things out. And I would take people from the youth hostel, so nobody knew who I was that worked at the club, but I'd bring in entourages from Germany, Japan, England. You know, I'd show up with a different country every couple of days.
So was that like, were they? It wasn't like Bringer or anything, was it, at the time?
No, it was real shows. But I just you know, as I got more comfortable hanging out at the club, they're like, "You can bring people if you want. We don't mind. You know, they'll just have to buy a couple of drinks, because there's always the minimum, right?" And there's these people in New York, and they wanted things to do, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm doing comedy. If you want to come see it," so they come watch.
So like, how dark did that get?
How dark did it get?
Yeah. Or do you look back on that just like really fondly? I mean,
I kind of do, because I had this naivety, this innocence.
Nativity.
Yeah. I had that, and I had enough drive that it worked out. I didn't need more than to be paying $14 a night in a youth hostel. I was taking my shot at my dream. I think I'm really lucky it worked out. And but had I been 5 years older, I'd have been 4 years younger, it might not have worked, right? It was I was had the right amount of confidence and the right amount of, you just do it. I mean, if you don't do it, you don't do it, right? I didn't come up through the Harvard comedy ways. I started on an open mic after dropping out of college to become I was going to become a engineer in explosives, so I wasn't on like it. I was so far away from what
From that.
what I've done with my life. I had to build the whole bridge to get there, right? So yeah, so I do look at it.
You never told me about the explosives thing.
Yeah, I was before I did comedy, I was working in a gold mine, and I was setting blasting patterns, and I'd make anfo and emulsion explosives and use dynamite.
How old were you when you were doing that?
18, 19.
No shit.
Wow.
18, 19, 20. Yeah, it was, and I was making. The funny part about it is I was making a buttload of money.
Yeah.
This is 1990, and I was probably making $30 an hour then. And
wow.
I was the bottom of the barrel of the guys. I was the assistant, So
how'd you get that job?
I was just a kid that just was like, I'm not going to college yet. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a comedian, but had no idea how to do it. But at that point, that wasn't going to be my career. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and I just was applying around town, and there was a place that had they were looking for a swamper, which is basically I loaded the trucks with explosives. I would go out to the magazines and take dynamite from this metal building and put them inside these trucks, and they deliver it to mines around northern British Columbia. And that was my job to begin with, and I just kind of moved my way up.
Oh, you worked your way up the chain to where you got to light the fuse, or what?
I went from the guy that was passing out every so often because nitroglycerin blows your blood veins up or blows your blood vessels. So I don't know, it does something, but it's a horrible smell. To a guy that ended up driving the dynamite and ended up being at the mine. And yeah, a couple times I got to light the fuse. So
that is fucking hilarious. I never knew
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So
it was, and at that age, when you're invincible, it was an
Yeah.
amazing job. It was an absolutely amazing job.
isn't that weird how age takes that? Like, obviously you have to be delusional in the beginning when it comes to comedy. I've always said that.
Right.
Like, and it's weird because you watch other people when they start and you see how delusional they are, and it almost makes you mad, and it's so dumb because you're like, well, I was that delusional. How would I have ever?
It's also an innocence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and you should appreciate it more than resent
because
it.
you have that innocence that it is possible, right? So I don't know. As you say, I don't find those times dark. I find them actually pretty. Like, I'm pretty impressed by that kid that he found his way through the forest.
Well, and I've never known you to, as long as I've known you, I've never known you to be a bitter guy. Do you feel like anybody ever looked at you as bitter?
I'm sure people have looked at me as bitter, and I'm sure getting stuck has made me look bitter, but it wasn't bitter. I've always been very appreciative of everything I've got. I've never thought, oh, I should have that, and they shouldn't have that. I was just like, but the problem is with comedy, A plus B doesn't equal C, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell you how to do something that's worked for me, and it may not work for you at all because those blocks are nowhere near the same. So, so I think I'm sure somebody's called me bitter, but I'm sure it was frustration. It was never like I deserve. It was just like, how do I get it? Like, I can't figure out how to get it. So I was frustrated,
Like a week at a club at some point in your career, like where you were just kind of feeling stagnant.
Yeah, well, every so often we still feel stagnant, like oh, come on, why is nothing else coming into my brain? Let's write, what I mean? But like just trying to get the next level. I mean, that kind of bitterness.
So, yeah, but then like, who says what that is? Like, don't you decide that yourself?
Yeah, I think everybody's level is different, right? I think
Yeah.
we all know plenty of professional features, right?
Yeah, that's
And
me basically.
no, but you headline all around. There's guys
Yeah,
that all they do is travel around the Midwest featuring,
right,
and they feel that's success. To
right.
me, or to somebody else, that might not be success. I mean, it is success, so
Sure.
I can't fault them.
No, no, I mean you've gotta like I feel like success is self-defined.
Yeah,
But there's also that slippery slope between defining success and rationalizing failure.
yeah.
You know
But
what I mean? Like,
I think we got to back. It's our society right now is like we have a lot of people with a ton of they have homes, boats, and big trucks and a job, and they're crying poor.
mhm,
You know what I mean? It's people are really not not dissatisfied, but happy with what they've earned, or like not everybody gets everything, but what's your happiness? Like, where's your happiness? And people seem to be happier by being angry right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it's a little bit sad, right? So I don't know. I don't know where. I just know that I'm not satisfied even now. So, but it's not that I'm not happy where I am. I'm just not satisfied.
I think there's
well,
a fundamental difference there. I mean, you can have drive and still have ambition and still be happy with your life and things like that. And
Absolutely.
on the flip side, I think a lot of people um, don't have any ambition and would rather wallow in their own self pity and be miserable.
I think you're right. I think as things as and I know this sounds weird, but as there's becomes less menial jobs, I think we see more of that. Whereas people we used to have menial, like easy labor jobs, and which really aren't easy, but they'd be working. They would
Right.
be, you wouldn't have all that time to think and
Yes.
try to, what I mean, like overthink things. So, I think the human spirit needs to be able to be tired at the end of the day, so they're not overthinking.
That it kind of leads into what Bill and I were talking about before when I had said about I just started a new job and it's amazing what this job has done for my mental health. I go in every day. I'm busy every day. It's not super like taxing physical work,
Hmm.
but I don't find myself with any downtime. So I don't find myself dwelling on negative things. I don't spend near as much time on social media, which can be a cesspool for negativity. And
Absolutely.
and there's been a couple times I've come home and I told my wife, I said, this has like been a while since I've come home and just been mentally exhausted because I thought all day long.
Right.
Whereas the previous jobs that I had, I didn't have a lot to do. I found myself angry because I didn't have anything to do. It wasn't fulfilling my days and I was miserable.
Hmm.
well, Ian just sealed it for me. My problem is obviously I'm not tired enough. I need to get more tired.
That's right.
Take yourself down a little bit.
I I mowed the backyard today. So, but only the backyard, and because I was too tired to mow the.
I was gonna say, Bill. People only see the front yard. That's the one.
Yeah, I did the reverse mullet. I didn't. Here's
First
here's
moment of
this.
lawns.
Ian's got the dogs. Ian's got dogs. Is Pearl still around?
Pearl's still around. She's sleeping right over there.
Oh yeah.
Lou's still around.
You've
We
got
sadly,
bulldogs, right?
uh, a bull, we got a French bulldog and a pit mix, and we found about 3 years ago we found an old fella just wandering around out front of the house, and he lived with us, and he just passed away not too long ago. His name was Dr. Henry Wong. So
Why?
Why?
Yeah. Why was
Well,
it
he's-
named Dr. Henry Wong?
he had a huge wrench on him, and the story is, my wife says I never listen to her. She says, she says I'm the one that doesn't listen. Well, I did a show years ago for the Sacramento Police Department Canine Division for their retired dogs, right?
Oh my
And
God.
I was reading an article about a canine for Sacramento that had been shot and had been saved by Dr. Henry Wong, right? And my wife, I read her this story, and she didn't listen to any of it. She goes, "Well, that's a weird name for a dog, Dr. Henry Wong." I was like, "No, that's not what happened. That was the doctor that saved the dog." So this dog, I was like, "That's Dr. Henry Wong right there." For the Wonger.
I love it.
Yeah.
See, so I'm a shitty dog. I probably shouldn't have a dog. Like
Everybody should have a dog.
I'm a good dog owner in that I provide him with a good life. But I can't clean up dog shit. Like I don't walk him enough because I can't clean up dog shit. It makes me puke. Like I have a horrible gag reflex. Like I cannot. Just the thought of a fresh dog shit and just nothing but a plastic bag. I can't.
And the warmth and the heat from it.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's this thing you can get. There's this thing now that you use that you don't have to touch it. It collects it for you.
Yeah, the claw thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't. As soon as I feel that touch something, as soon as I feel the resistance, like it doesn't matter.
You're an autistic baby.
I have that thing. I have it. But here is the reason. But this is why I only mowed the backyard. Is on Tuesday, I pay someone to pick up the dog shit in my backyard every Tuesday. So after I have to mow the backyard on Tuesday, no matter what.
Because that's the only day, because it gets picked up and you mow it and then otherwise it's just a big old shit pile.
Yeah. And he's a purebred boxer, and he probably shits 6 times a day. Like he's a shitting machine.
What's his name? The Hurricane?
His name is Brig.
Brig,
which is short for Brigadier.
I love it.
I got him.
General.
Yes, I got him from of Army vet, a buddy of mine that served overseas, everything. And he, after my dog Jax died, it was probably 3 months later, I had him doing some work at my house, and he was asking me if I was looking to get another dog because he had this dog he couldn't take care of.
Oh, wow.
He'd be gone at work and stuff, and he'd be in a kennel all day, and it made him feel like shit. So he was like, basically I had him for a weekend to see whether or not I was going to keep him. And after 24 hours, I was buying dog toys and all kinds of stuff.
Stop buying dog toys and leaving poop in the yard.
Yeah. The next thing I knew. Yeah. So now I've got him, and he's definitely spoiled, but I wish I could, because that made me think of when you were talking about being tired, like a tired dog's a good dog. Yeah, he really needs more walks.
Yeah, absolutely he does.
And even if I try to make him I'll make sure he shits before we leave.
What's funny is my sister's dog will only shit in the yard. Like I'm like, oh, I need some bags. She goes, so you won't shit when you're walking. You only shits in the yard. And I was like, I didn't believe him. It happens every time. It's so bizarre. I poop at home.
Not my dog.
Says, I poop at home.
My dog will stop at every yard.
Just like me. I will only poop at home.
I'm with you. I'm not a public pooper.
Yeah, it's always a home game for me. Always.
I always find it interesting. I always find it really interesting when you go into a comedy club bathroom and there's somebody in there.
And there's somebody shitting me too. Fucking savage. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What kind of animal?
Just
the same guy that's here's the thing. If I'm gonna shit in public, my asshole needs to be fully dilated. Like
Jesus.
There's got to be. It's an emergency. Like
Emergency.
And I'm talking fully. If I'm even, if I'm a centimeter, if I'm a millimeter or two dilated, I'm going home. I'm driving home. I don't care what it takes. Here's the thing, and now I have a bidet, and since I got a bidet, definitely only shitting at home.
Not me. I got no problem shitting on company time.
Maybe on company time or somebody other company's time. I got to do it. I got to do it. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, like hotel rooms, and interestingly enough, porta potties are okay because nobody knows who did it.
Really?
Yeah, I can shit in a porta potty.
Those I would pass on. Those I would purposely wait.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That's terrifying. That is
because for me, it goes back to like
go in there.
But for me, it goes back to like elementary school where it was just you didn't want anybody to. They'd make fun of you if you were taking shit. You'd get made fun of. So I think psychologically, for me, that's what it's more about: is no one knowing that I just took the shit or I stuck up the bathroom or whatever. In a porta potty, nobody knows.
It already smells in a porta potty.
Yeah, it's already so bad, and it all.
You guys should call this thing a Who Pooped podcast.
We get a little more scientific.
Who was the one that pooped?
So how do you think I think that most comics, something makes us like I've never sought to be the center of attention, right? But I obviously enjoy it, or I don't mind it, because obviously I wouldn't get on stage otherwise. So
yeah,
I think that there's something in almost all of us psychologically that makes us seek that. What say you?
I could see. I'm very good with hiding in a crowd. I enjoy like not being the center of attention in the crowd, but. So I don't always seek it out, but when I'm going to do comedy, I want all eyes on me. So I agree, but I disagree. I don't know. I just.
So you don't think you're a sociopath?
I wouldn't say that. I'm definitely. I'll definitely rip up your garden and take a poop in it. As long as it's in my yard. No. Yeah. I get what you're saying, but I don't think everybody's like that. We all have those. We can be with touring, right? And you'll be with a comic you never toured with, and they'll tell people that they're a comedian. You know what I mean? And I'm not good with that. I'm like, I don't ever tell anybody. I work in an office.
Like unsolicited, or even solicited.
Yeah, even solicited. Like, what do you do? I just work in entertainment. That's all I say.
Really?
Yeah.
I've gone both ways on that every once in a while. Like I've been with guys. Like I remember getting in a cab in New York with a comic who was all about telling the cabbie that we were comics.
Yeah,
and I'm like the cabbie was supposed to be impressed. Like,
right,
you got a couple comics in your car, man. He said to him, and I'm like,
like you were the seventh set of comics in that cab.
Well, and he was a New York comic. Like that's where he lived and was performing all the time in New York. And like
you're talking about the cab driver, right?
Yeah. And I'm sitting here, the guy from Iowa, thinking like, "Whoa, dude." I felt like that was kind of bizarre because I remember when I went to New York, I expected to like, oh, this is the major leagues. Like this is gonna be a whole different level as far as the way guys conduct themselves and carry themselves and the way they act and stuff. And I was very surprised to find out it's not that much different. There's just more.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I mean, personality wise, there's obviously a lot more stage time. I mean, there's,
it takes all, it takes all kinds. It's going to be no matter what. You're going to find hackiest of the hack in New York or wherever, and you're going to find the best of the best, like top to bottom in every market that you're in. It's not going to ever change. So there's just, like you say, there's more of the top echelon maybe.
Well, I think the cream rises to the crop eventually anyway, or cream rises to the top eventually anyway.
I think now it does.
Yeah.
I think we it always has, but I think since social media, the gatekeepers are no longer able to gatekeep. So you don't have to be the industry darling to make it anymore. You can do your own thing and chase your own dream and put up your own stuff. You don't need anybody else. A year and a half ago, I fired everybody in my camp except for my booking agent and started working with a social media guy. And my last year and a half has been the best year and a half of my career. So, yeah.
Do you think it's all attributed to that? I mean, it's
absolutely.
all really. Well, I mean, but you've also obviously spent a lot of time getting better and better and better.
I think I needed somebody to help me, guide me. Hey, do this for social media. And I was lucky that I had been under the wire for so long that I had a lot of stuff to put out there. Right. So, I went from, I had 5,000 followers on YouTube, and now we're up to 275,000, so I had 160 million views last year of my junk. So it's changed. It's changed everything for me. So YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, they're all massive helps right now. So, the ticket sales is just, it's stupid. So, but it's nice being able to find these people I connect with, and the people that I connect with, speaking of mental health, I just say my show is just an hour of escape for you. That's it. Nothing more. That's what I want. And it's amazing how many people come up to me and say, hey, I needed this.
Yeah.
I needed to escape. I just needed to not think about my real life for an hour. And you are the one that's able to let me just escape. So
I always struggle with that. When, because for me, it's always been a ripple effect, like I remember a guy one time had just lost his brother in a motorcycle accident, like the day before or 2 days before the show. So it was like, wow, how are you here that quickly? But anyway, like he was telling me how it made his day and he really needed to laugh and blah, blah, blah. And I remember thinking to myself, I feel like a normal person would be like, oh, this is what it's all about. But like, I'm like, here's the thing. That's great. I'm really glad. But I do comedy for completely selfish reasons. Like,
but
at no point.
But your selfish reasons are that though.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like it helps you escape. It helps them escape, and it gives you a high. Like,
yeah,
there's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you didn't get high off it, you wouldn't be doing it.
100%.
Right. And I'm the same way. I like a couple years ago, I stopped drinking. Basically, when I'm working, I don't drink, and I don't get much time off, so I don't really drink. But when I have some time off, I drink. But I had to turn the stage is my drug, and it's the addiction. And I know you're the same way.
Yeah, it's always been, well, I think that's been kind of my struggle because of the way my last several years have gone. Like I'm on the other end of things where like nothing got better. like I remember you telling me when I called you to thank you for giving that girl my name, and I remember you saying, "Yeah, I told her, yeah, he got divorced 2 weeks into COVID," which I think is hilarious.
I was like, everybody did it at the end. Bill did it at the beginning.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's weird to think about because, I've been trying to almost to be less addicted to it because so much of
Yeah,
comedy there for a minute, I was mad about it. You know what I
but
mean?
there's a lot of people where the comedy is the arm, the bridge that gets them to the addiction.
Yeah.
It gets them the free alcohol, gets them the drugs, it gets them the women.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
true too. Yeah.
I don't do it for that other stuff. I do it for that.
Yeah. The free
So,
drinks and the free. Yeah, I understand.
yeah.
Like I remember, well, like, but that's why it's an addiction that I don't want to use the word
My
worse.
dog's fine.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Pearl, stop it. We're trying to talk serious. Yeah. Talking to you.
It's an addiction that I don't want to use the word worse because it's not necessarily a negative addiction, but it's a high that's even higher. Like it's a natural high that's higher than any other drug because we will drive across the country for $100 just to get on stage in the very beginning. I mean, you get to a point where you won't do that anymore, but
for zero, yeah, you do it for zero.
You'll do it for zero in the beginning sometimes just to get up. And so that in itself makes it a bigger addiction than any drug ever. Because I would never drive that far for weed.
The reason is, Bill, because I think every show we do capture that dragon we're all chasing.
Yeah.
Like we do get that feeling again. It's not like you get it once and then you're always chasing, but you never get it. We get it over and over again, and it is the same high.
Yeah.
So
it is because it's the only way to describe it. It's a stimulant, you know, like when I look at it like on a 2-show night, right? After the first show, almost always I could go to the hotel and go to bed and be done.
Right.
Until the next day. But then the second show comes, you go and you do the show, and now you're up till 4 a.m. Like you're wired. And nothing was different about those 2 shows.
Right.
That's the only thing that makes sense is that high. You ride that high the rest of the night. I mean, and maybe if you did go home after that first show, you'd still be up till whenever, but it's just weird how you can. It's almost like you took an upper real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I just did 5 nights, 10 shows in Canada, and half were theaters and half were comedy clubs, and it's afterwards you're like you're kind of like jacked, but you're also beat.
Yeah.
I mean, you're beat and jacked, so it's interesting. It's an interesting feeling, but
I would imagine go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
I would imagine that you're probably so hyped up and you've got adrenaline running that when it is over and you're ready to crash, you're completely exhausted at that point.
Pearl, we're talking serious.
But you can't sleep. It's I can't remember is Pity Royalty a Nirvana song or did they cover it? I can't remember, but there's a line in there where he's like, "I'm so tired I can't sleep."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny because there is that high and the sleep. You know, that's how people get kind of caught up in it. Like they're jacked, so they need to sleep afterwards. So now they're taking a sleeping pill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now they got to get back up to get jacked again. So they need a stimulant to get jacked up again. Now they're high again from the show. But they got to get some sleep again, so now they're backing on a sleep pill. You got to be careful with your highs and your lows. But I had Kelly Dixon was a really good friend of mine when I started, and I was dating this girl, and she broke my heart. And he said, "Hey, man, in order to really feel the highs, you got to feel the lows. So
100%.
don't ever be like embarrassed by the lows. Just just rock and go, like feel it, because those highs are going to feel so much better now that you know the lows. So I think that's the same as when you're out grinding, you should feel tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the highs are going to feel so much better when they're natural.
You just, what you hope for is that they're not too far apart. It's
yeah. It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, my standard of living increased so much in the last 10, 15 years that I can't go backwards.
Absolutely.
So, like, I got to do something. Like, I can't maintain my standard of living and be a career feature act. So I'm doing like this shit or get off the pot kind of moment right now, where I'm like, it's been almost 25 years I've been doing stand-up, and I haven't made shit. I haven't left the world with anything. Like, so, I mean,
you got a great backyard.
Yeah, this is true. Currently with only a couple piles of shit in it.
Only a couple boops.
I'm about to go Karen on fucking Pet Butler too, because dude's only here for about 5 minutes, and then I go mow the lawn. There's at least 2 or 3 piles of shit still
flying into your neighbor's lawn,
and I just know they're gonna say something like, well, if the grass is long, we're gonna miss some or whatever. And it's like, motherfucker, I can't mow the lawn until you pick up the shit. That's why you're here.
Right. And it's once a week. It's not like
it's once a week. It's not. Yeah,
like,
I didn't.
Right.
It's not fucking no mow May or whatever.
Right.
That's how they work here. Do twice a week. Well, we'll come twice a week, so it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you got to mow the lawn.
Spend more than 5 minutes. Here's what they don't know that I haven't told them yet: is I got a fucking ring motion light thing back there, so I got them on camera the whole time. So I know exactly how long they've been there.
Ooh.
They don't even spend 5 minutes at my house.
Right.
It's not even 5 minutes. I mean, you gotta at least make 2 laps, right? You gotta do more than 1 lap around the yard.
Sure, this is not customer service.
I mean, we're talking about, like, you're talking about people talking about crying that they're poor and having a house and a truck. I'm paying somebody to pick up dog shit.
And then you're like, I gotta do better. Sounds like you're doing pretty good.
But like, well, that's what I mean though. Like, I have multiple streams of income right now, which is okay, and that's obviously a goal. But I don't want to be beholden to anyone. Like, that's why I was doing stand-up in the first place. So
yeah,
it's either I start working my way into transitioning back to where that's all I'm doing. And I need to do it in a way that isn't going backwards to where, I mean, when you and I first met, I was living in my gay roommate's basement. Like,
good times.
Good times. And it was great. I look back on all that.
Known as the dungeon.
Yeah, I always look back on it fondly. Like, those years were great. They were some of the best years of my career. I was hardly making any money, but I didn't have a lot of responsibilities and I didn't have a lot of expectations and all that. And, I look back on all that fondly, but at this point in my life, I'm not willing to downgrade like that.
I think you should. That's the way you should be. You should always be trying to go forward, not backwards.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing wrong with going, I think, sideways, but I don't think you ever want to go backwards.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, and that's the thing. I had to pivot. I mean, life does that to you.
Absolutely.
How did you what'd you do during COVID? Like, I mean, were you doing you weren't really doing a lot of virtual shows or
I
anything,
actually
were
did
you?
I did that. Remember I did that around the
Oh, that game
bag.
show thing. I remember around
Yeah.
the bag. Yeah, I did that. I
And
remember that.
that really made me reset, you know. I thought, oh, I'll do this for a month, is what I thought.
Mhm.
I did it every day, 7 days a week for a month. And I was like, this is too tough. So I
Yeah.
took it down to a couple days a week, and then I took it down to 1 day a week. And it was fun. It was like showed me a different muscle, but it also showed me I am the only one that can do things for myself. People that around me can Pearl. These stories are very exciting. Please don't stop. I'm the only one that can create. The people around me they can, and I don't care what anybody says. They can service, but they can't create. You're the only one that can create. So it was basically I was paying friends. So that's when I realized got to get rid of everybody. So I got rid of everybody, and yeah, it would kind of reset. I know COVID was hard on a lot of people, but it reset my mindset completely, and it was fantastic for me.
But like financially though, during that time, I mean, when
I
you
went
couldn't,
broke.
yeah, I mean, did you just catch out your savings basically? Was it
Yep,
just,
everything.
yeah,
We almost moved back to. We have a house in Virginia. We
you still
almost
have
moved back
that?
out. We survived with that. But everything now was down to zero. Funds. I took a loan out and just you know got us through a little bit, and I was all of a sudden I was able to start working a little bit, and yeah, just barely survived. Like basically, the plane touched was touching the ground, and all of a sudden the wheels came out. So
Wow.
yeah, it was close, and I understand how people can be upset by it, but I honestly had that happened 10 years before. I don't know. Like before I was married, just by myself and with no savings at all, I can see how people didn't do well. I can see how older people lost all their social activities.
Mm.
I can see it, but
Or
the
like if
fact,
your wife had left you 2 weeks in.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but life, we're not guaranteed anything. We're not
Right.
guaranteed a social. We have to, I don't care what they said. There's things that are out there trying to kill humanity. Like it's we have to do things to survive, um, to protect our species, and that's what we were trying to do there, right? And we
Hmm.
lost a lot of people, and we could have lost a lot more. So we should be pretty happy with what we did, and we should probably, I think, for mental health, we should have probably said, hey, this is what's going to happen. We shouldn't have pretended things weren't happening. We should have said, this is happening. This is what it's going to be like during. This is what it's going to be
Right.
like after.
Mm.
We don't know the time frame, but you're going to be alone for a bit, and it's going to suck. And we're going to lose some people because of suicide. We're going to lose some people because of the sickness. We're going to lose some people just because, try to look out for your neighbor. Like that's the big thing. We should have, like, we shouldn't expect the government to do it. We have to do it.
Right.
We have to say, hey, we got to look out for our people. And maybe I stand in front of somebody's house and yell at them every day or whatever. But don't go in, whatever. We have to,
Mhm.
do certain things that we don't want to do. And
So you were
I don't,
never,
I try not to think about the pandemic. I like to think of that as the past, but I like to think that we're continuing on. But let's be honest, it seems like every 100 years there's some sort of disease that comes out and tries to wipe us out.
right.
Right.
Well, I just,
Maybe next time we won't be as like shocked that it happens again. It's like when in Phoenix, when it's suddenly hot in July, they never see it coming.
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm more curious, like how, like life dealt at that point, life was dealing me all kinds of different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to make moves and I had to pivot. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
always curious how other guys got through it. You know what I mean? Just mentally, because obviously what I was going through at that time it wasn't just, it was a whole identity crisis. Like, I can't work, you know, wife's leaving, basically no family now, like all of it just gone.
But also the fact you couldn't work meant you couldn't let it out of your system. You know what I mean? Like, your work would let it out of your system. Had it not been COVID, you would have been on stage talking about it. You know what I mean? You may have healed faster, may have healed slower, but you may have, like, all of a sudden realized, maybe I don't need her. Maybe it's better without her. Right. So it's shitty that
it stunted my growth.
Right.
Is really, you know, it made things take longer.
But for me, it just took me off this, you know, gerbil wheel. Like, I was stuck on a gerbil wheel that, you know, making base money on building a base audience. So where now it's different. So, and it gave me the mindset, nothing can stop me, because I've already been through something that tried to stop me. I survived that. Yeah. So why be afraid of everything? I've heard those most resistant to change are the first to be left behind.
Yeah, so I agree.
I try to be.
You have to evolve. You have to be there has to be some constant evolution.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, me personally, I've just felt, I feel like I've evolved a lot and a lot's changed, but I still, in a lot of ways, feel like I'm in a rut. I still feel a little stagnant. Like,
to me, when I hear you, I feel like you're still hurt.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that could possibly be the case, but
also, Bill, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, like, as men, we try to pretend we're not heartbroken. We try, you know, like, you know, if you're not hurt, it was a waste. It was just a waste of time.
Well, that's kind of what I've actually felt like it was a. I've actually felt like it was a waste of time, pretty much, this whole.
but that's because you're hurt. But if you didn't feel anything, it was a waste of time.
Yeah, totally.
It means you weren't. It means you weren't giving 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, for me, I like to think, you know, I mean, I've had a girlfriend for the last over a year. Like, I've moved on.
Bragger.
But there's like, you know, it's your whole life just changes in a span of a month. Like, everything. And it's not just that one thing. I think it would have been, had it not been for COVID, like, it's almost like how some people have the long COVID, like, it's lingered. Like, I still feel like there's some lingering stuff hanging on my back. Like,
I'm sure it's only been a couple of years. You were in it for fucking many years.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's no time frame where you're good, go. You know.
Right.
Don't feel like, you know.
Well, and we talked about this before a couple episodes ago, Bill, about how you look inward to yourself and you have to realize you did some things wrong and you have to take a hard look at yourself.
Wait a minute. I was
I think
100% victim. I will not listen to this blasphemy.
You're right. I'm sorry. It's just like with mine, the kids. It was all the kids' fault.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to exactly. That's what I told him. He was talking about telling his kids they were getting divorced, and I was like, "Well, how'd they react when you told them it was their fault?"
That's funny.
We should probably take a break real quick and then come back and maybe wrap up.
Yep. Yeah, let's get a quick break from.
I don't want to keep you in too long. He just got home. He's tired. He's weary.
Right.
I'm a child. I'm only a baby.
He's just a baby.
Let's get a word real quick from Revelton Distilling Company, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up with Ian Bagg.
Why take the best corn in the world and make it into fuel when you could make it into whiskey? That's the question that launched Revelton, Iowa's most visible and fastest growing distillery. Owners Rob and Christy Taylor embrace the grain-to-glass philosophy, sourcing ingredients locally and overseeing on-premises production and bottling at their facility in Osceola. One sip, and you'll agree that Revelton's handcrafted whiskeys, gins, and vodkas are the best you've ever tasted. And with the launch of their rye whiskey, made with 100% Iowa-grown rye and corn, and their new bourbon coming soon, there's more Revelton to love than ever. Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com.
And we're back, and we really need to get that updated because their bourbon has been released. Got released 2 weeks ago, so check them out down at 1400 West Clay Street in Osceola, Iowa, and pick up a new bottle now. So,
yeah, go get drunk and then lose some money at the casino.
that's what I'm going to do next 2 weekends from now.
He's got plans.
I got plans.
I remember performing at casinos and getting in trouble for making fun of gambling.
What?
Well, I mean, you know,
like the perfect audience to do that.
Well, yeah, but everybody, see, you got to understand. Nobody's coming to see Bill Blank. Pretty much ever. Like if I'm headlining the Funny Bone here in Des Moines for one night, then yes, people are coming to see Bill Blank. But
how's that club doing?
It's doing just like the rest of them. You know, the Funny Bones have just cut down so much. Like
so weird.
Everybody's
they're
only
so
doing
weird.
weekends now. Like, and that's what's tough. Like I can't go to Albany anymore for a weekend. You know, that used to be 6 shows. I can't, you know, so I just can't. That's part of the shifting of the gears. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, now I forgot where I was going with that. But
nobody's going to see you.
Yeah, nobody's coming to see Bill Blank. So if I'm at a casino, you know, it's basically it's comedy night.
Right.
So whoever is in there has already lost all their money. They
don't want to hear what a degenerate gambler they are.
Yeah, like gambling, like it's other stuff that they're doing to hopefully so they don't leave and maybe gamble more or whatever. Right. Like it's not those.
They're trying to get your money.
Yeah.
They're trying to get your money. Run out of here now, people.
But then there's like the casinos that have like the theater. Like Ian might do a theater in Sault Ste. Marie, fucking up UP of Michigan or something. And
let's
people
hope I don't
actually be there to see him. And he'll, you know, well, I don't think you would care if they were giving you like 25 grand guaranteed or something.
I wouldn't, but at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I was actually just talking about this very thing because I just did a post prom a few weeks ago and I tried to tell them not to book me. Like I tried to tell them they didn't want a comic. They like I don't know how I'm supposed to, as a 45-year-old white guy, relate to these 18-year-old kids. Like, there's only so much.
How as a guy that looks like they're teachers, how am I supposed to be a big night out for them? Right?
Yeah, 100%. And they're all held hostage. None of them don't. The only reason they tell them that they can't leave, they don't get any of the prizes if they don't leave. They're just there. They're just there so that their parents know they're not fucking that night or they're not getting drunk or whatever else.
Yep.
And
it was way more fun before when they put you in those things, but they let you drink.
Yeah. Well, like I told
your shit in.
I told him before, like get a hypnotist or a magician. You don't want a regular comic. And they wouldn't listen. So I went and took the money. Like I gave them a big number and they took it. So I did it and it sucked. And I know that a couple of those parents are probably pissed off and think they got took. But I tried to tell them.
They didn't have to cry themselves to sleep that night.
That's right. Yeah. I had to go home and feel guilty about stealing money from people.
From children.
You didn't feel guilty.
No, you're right. I didn't.
Good for you.
No, I mean, it was okay. When's the last time you had a gig like that?
I'm sure it'll happen now that you've said it. I remember when I first came down here, I did colleges and I remember bombing so hard at one, and then another one, and another one, and I've never done colleges since. I heard Chad Daniels does them, and he writes the number he's being paid.
I was just telling him that. I was telling that story.
Hand.
Yeah, I was just telling somebody that Chad Daniels is the one that told me that. I told another comic, I go, yeah, just write the number of what you're making on your hand and just look at it.
I don't think my hand's big enough for the number.
Because I remember Chad was talking about doing nooners.
Like I remember being in front of a television that had a soap opera on, and they were asking me to move out of the way of the soap opera. And I was like, this isn't it. This isn't it.
And
I don't care.
You have to do the time. Like you have to fill the fucking time.
Even worse, you have to go out for lunch or dinner with the kids that booked you, and that was the worst.
Before or after?
The worst. And if you didn't go to lunch or dinner with them, you got a bad review, and then other schools wouldn't book you.
Oh, because of the NACA. Was this NACA?
Yeah, it just scum.
And so, I mean, that right there is an example of you get into comedy and you tell yourself like to never do things for the money. Like, I'm not going to be married to any type of amount or anything. Like, I'm going to do this because I love it. And, it's not going to be about the money. And then you get to this point where it's like, oh, this is paying a lot of money and it's better than a cubicle.
But I also think it's good for your growth to be able to try to make a section of people laugh that you never thought you'd make laugh.
Yeah.
Because one day they'll be at your show and you'll just like have something, I don't think any learning experience is bad. I just like at some point when it's repetitive, you're not learning anymore, right? You're doing quantity over quality. So,
was there a moment in your career where you just decided, crowd work was like the way to go? I mean, it's not like you're up there like watching you. It's not like it's 100% crowd work.
No,
it's interactive. I guess
it's just where I write. I write on stage. That's all. Yeah. It's not crowd work. I write on stage. Everybody writes at a certain, like some guys write, from a desk. Some guys write when they're walking around town. I write when I'm on stage.
Yeah.
I don't think crowd work. I'm not there to put somebody down.
Right.
Some
no,
people think
never.
It's put down comic. It's just like, no, it's not. It's not. I'm not.
No, you're never like you're fucking stupid for wearing that. You're just
It's just fun. It's just chirping your friends and having a good time, and I'm writing when I'm there. It's what like.
But how much stuff though? That there's so much stuff you could never say again though. So it's like you're writing on stage every night and throwing it away.
Yeah, which is great because now I record every show. I've created this business where, we set up 4 cameras and record everything and put out a couple clips in a couple 10 minutes, and every so often an hour. So I do have that all recorded now. So it's
you're not burning anything.
Yeah, really. I can do it again if I really, really want to. I had the funniest thing. I did one the other night about. I did a joke about. I put it online on Friday about. I asked a nurse if it was true if you put a finger. That's how you put it to find out if somebody's dead. You put a finger in their butt. Because it doesn't matter how much life. If there's only a little bit of life left in you, your eyes will flutter if somebody puts a finger in their butt. And this lady on Sunday night goes, "I heard that joke the other day." I go, "Yeah, from me. I just put it out.
I just put it on fucking.
I just put it out the other day.
It was on your reel and your phone. You were coming to see me tonight.
There's a reason you bought the tickets.
That's fucking hilarious. I was just, like on your conversation special, you had the intern. The kid was an intern at the family business.
Yeah.
That whole exchange I thought was brilliant. Like, it was just because that's what when I'm watching you, I love watching how fast your brain works. Like, because you talk just as fast as your brain works. So it's just so fucking, and you do that Ian Bagg everything. So you're fucking, Ooh, what do you do there for no money?
It's a little comedy autism.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. So, but
Do you
it's
think
fun.
you
I
are on
love
the
it.
spectrum?
No.
No.
I do think I have comedy autism, though. I think I see everything. I see life as a cartoon.
Yeah, like the
You know what I
Matrix,
mean?
like
Yeah.
like things slow down for you. That's like what looks quick to the audience is really slow to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense because I find that a lot. I think some of that has to do with being on stage, just the hyper awareness of it.
Yeah, a little bit. But I've always been like that. So
Yeah,
that's been me off stage, and it's just kind of it's naturally flowed onto on stage. Like I was the kid you wanted to be around when we went on the school trip because I was at the back, you know,
the
making up
bus
my
clowning
own
around.
tour, but making my own tour up and we were seeing everything, you know.
Yeah, right.
So,
Hey, Chris, you should fucking type louder.
I
he's
should.
very competitive.
Trying to
He's saying
block
we're
out
right.
his dog.
He's trying to block out my dog snoring. He's trying to write the end.
Yeah, he's trying to write the end. No, this is probably a good spot to wrap up, honestly. But Ian, seriously, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
It was a great time. Like, hopefully, everything is set up. Like, how's the tour? Like, you're leaving again, like tomorrow? You said.
I'm actually going on vacation tomorrow. I got a week off.
Vacation.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to. My buddy's daughter's getting married in Colorado Springs, and it's on Saturday, and we're taking 3 days before it because I haven't had a break yet this year, so this is my break.
So you're gonna stop and do a guest set at Looney's?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna.
I'm sure the wife will love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, I love you, and thank you so much for coming on. And
thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
I'm gonna get a hold of you to talk about that other thing.
Yeah.
But thanks again, and everybody. Peace.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Cheers,
everybody. Have a great night. We're
Thank
wrapping
you.
up. Yep. Thanks, guys.